this movie was ahead of its time. It was so great all around.
Applause. Do you think that we should do like some sort of like spoiler, like
spoilers in words at the very beginning? Hi, everybody. This is the 9th episode of 2Chicks 2Cents. Thank you for being here. Today, we're going to be reviewing the 1990s movie Total Recall. And in case this is your first time here, I'm your host, Tiffany, and this is my lovely co-host, Delilah.
Hey, if you missed out last week, we did talk about the movie Mother. You can find it on, I think it was Apple Plus. That's where I found it. We were very confused by that movie, but if you want to see our takes, it is going to be below in all of the links. Let's get into our description of the 1990s movie Total Recall.
Get ready for a futuristic adventure with the 1990s movie Total Recall. This sci-fi classic takes you to a dystopian future where construction worker Douglas Quaid dreams of Mars. When a memory implant goes wrong, Quaid discovers his true identity as a secret agent and uncovers a sinister conspiracy. Packed with comical special effects and non-stop Schwarzenegger action, Total Recall keeps you on the edge of your seat. Don't miss this adrenaline-pumping adventure that keeps you guessing until the very end.
Okay, so Delilah, I want to know, did you watch both the original version and the remake of this movie?
So I wanted to watch both, but I did not end up watching both. I only watched the original version. But I was looking at the picture of the new one, or the more recent one. It's not really that new. And I swear I've seen it. I swear I've seen it, but I just did not have enough time to.
Yeah, that's okay. That's
I
okay.
didn't have enough time, and then also, I was just watching the original one on Prime, and then whenever I went to go watch the new one, like, I was gonna watch it, like, while I cleaned, and, it said to rent or buy, and I was like, "What the hell? No, thank you."
Oh, it's on
So,
Netflix. It's on
yeah.
Netflix.
So I didn't have the capacity to go look it up anywhere else, and I was like, I'm good." And then, like, I was looking at I was like, "I swear I've recently seen this movie." But, yeah, so I only rewatched the original, and also, I did not remember a lot, and honestly, I'm not even positive if I've ever seen it before. This might have actually been my first time seeing that movie.
I've literally never seen it before.
Like, as I was sitting here, I'm, like, sitting here, and I'm like, "Of course, I had to have seen it because like, it's fairly old, so, like, I had to have seen this." But I kinda don't think I have. Like, my reaction and everything as, like, we were watching it, I was like, "I don't think I've ever seen this movie."
What do you think of that intro where they're in Mars and he like falls down the mountain and then his like
It's my favorite
thingy
part.
open?
Every single I was like, I love a dramatic fall that lasts just too long. I love it. And I'm just like I'm like, "You've been falling for a long time." Like, I would be so over it if I was
And
you.
his scream is so funny.
Loved it. Loved it.
I love
Arnold,
those,
get back in the movie theater. Like, let's go.
right. And those cheesy effects where your face is all distorting and
Yep.
like love that.
That
They
was
don't do
and my husband was like, "They don't make movies like this anymore." And I'm like,
I
"Honestly,
know.
like, I'm pretty sure this is not any kind of, like, CGI or computer effect." I'm like, "I'm pretty sure that these are all prosthetics and masks and makeup that, like, they, like, were making for these things." And I was like, "This is talent. This is work."
Yes.
Because while, like, maybe it looks very cheesy and, like, this could be put together very quick, all of these things are handmade. This took work. This took a budget.
And
Props.
the time
Kudos.
it takes to film something
Mhm.
like that because of the changes and the morphing of it, like
Mhm.
that's skill. That's yep, like you said, that is
And then, like, they were
talent.
zooming in on that, like, so much, like, the faces and everything, like, as, like, he's, like, changing and all that stuff, and I was like, "Man, they are proud of this stuff. They are taking their time showing these makeup effects and everything, like, they are proud. They this was
Do you
but
remember?
honestly, for the time, this was To be
Yeah,
in the movie
cutting edge.
theaters in
Yeah.
1990. I'm like, this probably was so cutting edge. This was like, people were thinking this was so realistic. Man, to be
And a
in
little
that
bit
movie theater.
scary even. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you remember that one part where he's dressed up as the woman going through and it
Hmm.
starts glitching, and then there's that moment where it comes off and it's this fake Arnold
Yes.
head, but
It's the
then it
fake
comes
Arnold
back
and
and
then
then
the
it's
real
like him.
Arnold.
Yeah. I love that.
I was like the makeup, everything, loved it, but I was so mad that he couldn't just get through the little checkpoint. I was like, seriously, you start glitching right now, seriously.
Right.
I was so mad at it. I was just like, really, like you couldn't make it through. You were done. Your passport was stamped. You were done. You were getting through. The guy was in the elevator. Really, I was so
Yep.
mad that he started glitching. But I guess, it's all part of the story.
Yep. So my other question is, are you a Rick and Morty fan?
Not overly. I know the show. I've seen a couple episodes of the show. I don't go out of my way to watch Rick and Morty, but like if it's
Oh.
on, I'm not gonna tell somebody, change it. I hate this.
Okay. So the reason I ask is because there's a reference to this movie that I had no idea was a reference to this movie, and it was with the Quado guy.
Okay.
Yeah, so they did an episode where they actually transfigure Morty and Summer, him and his sister, and
Yeah.
Morty ends up in her abdomen, and they're like, "You got a Quado! It's a Quado!" You know? And he's always like, "Open your mind."
Yeah. Like I never would have gotten that until I saw this. And then
Exactly.
I was like, okay, if he's like the good guy or whatever, why they make him look like a little Chucky baby out of his tummy? Like, why do you make him look so scary?
That was
Every time
really
they
like,
kept zooming in closer, open your mind. They go closer and go, and he's like, grab my hands. And I was like, I would have a problem grabbing those hands. It like reminds me of
he's
do
so
you see Scary
slimy.
Movie? Yeah. Do you see Scary Movie? The butler with the little hand, he's like, grab
Yeah.
my strong arm. That's what I was thinking of. And I was just like, no, don't grab his arm.
That was a really big, like when that movie came out, everybody at work was like, "It's my strong hand."
It was when that movie came out and that scene came out, it was the funniest thing for a solid year, I swear. All you have to
Yeah.
say is something about your strong arm, and somebody in the room is gonna laugh. Like, and then even still,
Yes.
whenever I see that actor, all I think about is his strong. Like that is what he is known for.
I don't remember the actor's face. Like, I can kind of picture like someone like him but yeah, I don't remember what he
No,
looks like.
I was scrolling TikTok and I randomly, because like it's like I think it was like a graduation something or whatever. Like I'm seeing like back to school things, whatever. And I saw this random girl and she was like, "Oh, show you and then who you were raised by or something." And I swipe and it was him, the strong man guy. It was his daughter. I was just like, "Oh my God, the strong man guy
Oh,
is your
like
dad?"
for real. I thought it
Yeah,
was like a
no
joke
real
like this
life.
show raised.
No. I was just like, that's funny. I was like,
That's
man.
awesome. Yeah,
As
I
soon as I
definitely
saw him, I was like, oh my God, that's your dad.
I'm definitely gonna look that up.
TikTok really just brings us all together. I probably liked it. If I liked it, I'll send it to you.
Sweet. Sweet.
I feel like so whenever I watched this one or whatever, I loved how it was they kind of played into the cheesy, and I love that they didn't really like explain too much. They were just like, this is what it is and go ahead and go with it. And like this is it. And like it is a little bit cheesy, but they never like went overly cheesy to where it was a comedy. It's just like this is just the time. It's where the time is cheesy, like, but this is where we are. This is like me in this movie or whatever, or like the characters in this movie, they're being serious, even though they live in a cheesy time or whatever. But then so whenever I saw the picture of the more recent, the 2012 version of it, I was like, this looks more like grimy, probably very serious, and like not as much like fun as this one was. Like with all of the what were they called them freaks, but like they were like half mutants. They're half mutant, half people or whatever, just all that stuff. I'm like, all that was more fun. It gave me more like Men in Black vibe. than like Alien versus Predator vibe, you know? It was just like very cool, very fun, very light. Um but so whenever I looked at the picture of the new one, I was like, "Oh, this looks more like serious, like they took the movie and kind of ran in a more serious direction." Which is probably cool. And then from what I can remember, I was like, I think this one was more like serious and stuff, and that's why I never went back and watched it again, and why I didn't correlate the two, because they were two very different vibes.
Yeah, when I watched the 1990s one just this last week, um, I remember thinking, oh wait, I was like, oh, this is about Mars, and then I was like, oh, I don't remember outer space, and I was like, I feel like I would have remembered that, you know,
Hmm.
and turns out like when I rewatched the new one, has nothing to do with going to Mars or anything like that. There are no mutants, yet it is exactly as you said, like a more realistic kind of
Yeah.
take on it, and I I think it was good for what it was, but they're basically like two different movies. Like they
And
kept,
that's what I was like vaguely like remembering.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um,
I don't
yeah,
know how I feel
especially
about
when
that.
the Quado came up, I was like, I don't remember anything like this in the other movie.
I mean, like I feel like, well, I guess it's 2012 and 2024, completely different years, and they can do so much more even now than just 12 years ago. But I don't know, I kind of feel like that was a miss in their like that they shouldn't have gone so far from the original if you're calling it the same movie and it is based off of the original. I feel like they could have gave like maybe if they were to redo it now, if they went based off the first one and they gave it more a feel of like Thor, the new Thor, the like the last Thor or whatever, the Love and Thunder or whatever,
Oh wait, I didn't see
more
that
of
one.
oh,
But go ahead, go ahead.
a lot of people for some reason online don't like it. I liked it, but
I
I'm
wanted
not.
to see it. I just
I thought it was fun.
timing.
It's a bit cheesy, but it was like, so that it's filmed now, but they filmed it kind of like that 80s cheesy vibe, just like this Total Recall, but we've got way better CGI and all of that stuff now.
Ooh,
So
I like
it just
that.
looks cool. And it's like 80s music, bright colors, flashy, rock vibe. And that's what this Total Recall has, but in that time, you know?
On that same note, my friend, when we were talking about it, she went and watched the 2012 version. And that's the thing. That was her complaint was that she didn't like, or she liked in the original how there was so much color, you know,
Yeah.
and then this one was just so drab and like gray. And honestly, I think they did an excellent job. Like the CGI in it, for what it was, it was excellent in the 2012 version, in my opinion. I think that there were elements that were better in the original. I love that idea of doing Total Recall again and then doing that new vibe. But I think each one would be like a standalone, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I
I
think
think,
the reason it, sorry,
oh
oh,
no,
real
you're
quick.
fine.
I think the reason it wasn't received very well in 2012 was because people were trying to compare it to the old one, you know,
Yeah.
and they thought that they did it a disservice by changing so much of what they probably loved the most about the other movie. So,
I don't pretend to know Hollywood or anything, but I feel like since they did change so much, I just don't get why they just didn't make a new movie.
because they still like the main meat of it with the idea of recall and getting memories implanted, all of that was the same. And then also being a secret agent, um, and all of that stuff was like there.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, you know, and like licensing and copywriting, you would get
Yeah.
sued if you did that without at least paying them or something. I don't know.
I guess I just feel like they remake so many movies these days. Like it's like just give me a new fresh idea, or just like say that, like, don't call this movie the same as the old movie. Give it a new name and give me a, like, you know, like in books, like it's like the book, the main book title, and then it's got its own, like a
Subtitle.
series of or a subtitle, or give me something like that. So then I'm like, okay, this is in the same world, or they can do the same things that's happened in this movie, but it's going to be a completely different story.
I
I'm
think
getting
that would
different
be more
characters. I'm getting
confusing.
different,
Only because
maybe.
like people see that and would expect it to be a sequel, not a remake. Like, because the sequels usually have like that name plus the little
Yeah,
new, like Mad
yeah.
Max Fury, whatever. Those are kind of ones I want to check out. The old ones, I've never seen the old ones.
I've seen only the old ones. I haven't seen the new ones. The old ones
What
are
do you
good.
think of those? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're
How
good.
many? There's like three, two. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know, but I know that
It's
I've seen the old ones, that I have not seen the new ones.
okay. I thought the
Uh,
new one was all right. Like the first one, I
was
thought
that
like
the Furiosa one or something?
I have not seen that one. That one's like the second new one. It might be Fury Road. I don't know. But uh everything on paper was like 10 out of 10. Like the CGI, the actors that they picked, all of that stuff. But then I still left the theater thinking like, why wasn't it that great? You know, I couldn't figure it
Mm,
out. I was like, something just was a little bit like just okay about it. And I think I figured
well,
out
there's
later on
three,
it was just not much character development.
probably. There's
Yeah.
Mad Max 1979, Mad Max 1981, or it's Mad Max 2, and then Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome 1985, and then there's a big pause, and there's Mad Max Fury Road 2015, then the 2024, and it looks like there is another one coming out, but they do not have a date. It's Mad Max The Wasteland.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I might go down that rabbit hole soon.
Yeah, why not? When you're looking for something to watch and you don't got nothing better to do, why not? It's
Yep.
easy to go like pick a something that has a lot of movies, or like a series with a lot of like episodes, and just leave that on. Let it play.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what I do. I have the same comfort shows. Like I've watched Vampire Diaries, the originals, Criminal Minds, so many times. And it doesn't get old.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep it up.
Yeah. That's
Oh, so
cool.
many times. Honestly, this Total Recall movie, the whole time that me and my husband were watching it, we were cracking up at like the very long falls. Whenever they were when they fell out the window and they're rolling down the hill and they're falling for so long, then they're outside in Mars, and like the atmosphere or whatever. So they start like blowing up and they're like, oh, so long. Their eyes are popping out, their tongues like we were cracking up. I was like, this is great. I was like thinking in that moment, I was like, this movie was ahead of its time. It was so great all around. Like, I don't have really anything that I could say that they could have done better, because this movie, for the time that it was in, like if I'm judging it from like 1990 standards, not 2024 standards, it was great. It was perfect. They did everything,
Yeah.
and it was very long. So you got a lot of detail.
I think they did a really good job with the story development and even better in this one than they did in the 2012 version.
Hmm.
Um, Especially there's this part where, like in the 1990s version, they have that whole commercial where you're learning about recall.
Yeah.
And so like all of that, you understand exactly what the process is and what the appeal is
Yep.
and why he would want to do it, because all of that intro, he's like, "Oh, I really want to go to Mars. Let's go to Mars. I'm
Yep.
having dreams about Mars." But then in this other one, you get like a teeny blip from, his bad dream and like something happened to him in his past. But you don't really feel that sense of longing for him wanting to know more about that, or
Yeah.
or being drawn to something else. I mean, they kind of do it a little, but it's not as good. And then instead of telling you what recall is, they just have this casual conversation with friends. They're like, "Oh yeah, what do you think about that recall stuff?" And his friend's like, "Oh, don't do it." But I remember having no clue what that is. Like, I remember watching it now, thinking about the time I watched it the first time, and I was like, I have no clue what's going on. I'm just,
Yeah.
here.
Just here for the
And then
ride.
eventually I figure out that it's like memory implants and stuff. But Like they didn't set it up well at all. And they could
Yeah.
have just done like still keep it realistic. You don't even have to have an ad like that on TV. All you'd have to do is like a news report and they're talking about the person that got lobotomized, you know? Like and in news pieces they do give details of why this is dangerous or what happened and all that stuff. So that would have been an easy way to fix that. But whatever.
No, I do feel like from what I remember of the new one from a long time ago whenever I watched it versus the old original, the original still blew the new one out of the water.
Yeah.
I think like they just took their time, which I do think that with a lot of older movies, like just because um attention spans back then were not what they are now, so they would take a lot of they would give you all the information and they would tell you like a slowly lead up to what's going on, and you'd get everything and everybody would be happy with the movie. But now I feel like it's so like go go go, you have to get there quickly or else people are going to lose interest. So I think that's why like it just they didn't add too much in. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That makes sense. And it's
I think
even
that's what it
more
is.
so if you go back to movies from like the 60s, they have like a ton of dialogue. Like, did you
Yeah.
watch the first Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, weirdly, we've been rewatching Planet of the Apes over here. So,
Did you
yeah.
watch the 1960s one? The first
Yeah.
one? Yeah. So much dialogue, but it was actually really good and it really sets up the story and stuff. But I was impressed because I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that. But yeah.
I definitely think that they did a really good job setting everything up. You understood everything that was going on. And I was surprised like by the little like turns. Like whenever it turns out that his wife was in on it, whenever he first went home to her, I didn't think anything of it. But then as soon as he started explaining, I was like, wait, is she in on it too? And then it turns out that she was. I was like, what the hell? And then in the very end, whenever he gets to the bad guys, they're all seeing the plan, all that shit, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you were helping," and he's like, "No, I wasn't." Like, what are you talking about? And then it turns out that his old version of himself, Hauser, actually is a bad guy and was like he chose to, like do this shit and thought that he was gonna get his body back. And I was like, "What the?" Like, I really didn't see that coming. I really thought that he was a good guy and everything. So I was like, that was great. Like I got all this information. I got some twists and turns. I got so many fun chases. I got so many fun characters. I got mutants and exploring all that stuff. Like it was great all around. I was like, this is you guys did a really good job.
With the him being a bad guy, that was another thing they changed in the new one. And I think sometimes they're afraid to make a character look bad because that would definitely make you look bad if
Probably.
you're a sleazy person like that. So they completely left it out, but I appreciated how they did do it in the original. And it's like it is what it is.
Character
People are,
development. Yeah, it
yeah.
is. He was a
And
bad guy.
the
He's not
the
anymore.
exactly the difference between the two personalities and how all your memories, really make a difference in all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I was
Makes
like
me think of
watching it and like
Severance.
that's what I was literally about to say. Like I was like just like watching and talking about it and everything. I'm like, it gives me like Severance vibes. Like they like
Yeah.
they're like their innies versus their outies, completely different people.
That's what it would be like if there were clones, because, like you'd
Yeah,
have the same exact genetic makeup and everything, but your experiences are completely different. So you're
yeah.
not the same person. But
That guy
that would be
definitely
trippy.
underestimated like his innie.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Really like the special effects in the new one though. Like the not like comparative or anything, just and oh man, I forgot I was gonna tell you. I liked the version of Lori better. Just because
which
I
one's
did not
Lori?
like the wife. The wife.
Oh
I
yeah, she
just
was
ugh,
not likable at all.
terrible. And it's not like they made her likable in this one. It's just Kate Beckinsale, and it's like she's a badass and she's not like a needy, um, naggy kind of wife, you know?
Yeah. I
Ugh, I
didn't
was like,
like
I couldn't wait till they killed her.
in yeah, I was like, girl, you definitely deserve to die. But I didn't like in the beginning him with like his the brunette girl, like the girl that he's like originally with or whatever. I hated how in the beginning she just was like not believing him and like everything. She was believing everybody else over him so quickly, and I was like, you guys must have
Oh
been dating for
yeah,
like a week before this happened. Like you got
right.
no faith in him at all. I give that movie. I give it like an 8.5. Like there's really not too much like that it could have done better. Or, yeah,
I think eight's good
for
too. I'm good with
yeah.
that rating. Yeah, I didn't actually think about it beforehand,
I
like
only
what
thought
the
about it
exact
right
number
now.
was.
I was like, why would I
Oh
give
yeah,
it?
eight's good. Yeah.
I'd give it an 8, and I would definitely recommend it to people. Like, if you
Hmm.
like sci-fi things, I definitely recommend it. But honestly, if you like sci-fi things, you've seen it. So
Yeah, yeah, most likely.
it's one of those classic sci-fi, all those whatever. So if you're a sci-fi person, you've watched it.
Well, I mean, I'm a huge sci-fi person and I
True.
hadn't seen it. I did
True.
see the new one, so I mean, I guess it kind of balances there. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, that's all I have to say also about that
Same.
movie. Yeah,
That
except
is all I
definitely
have
go
to say.
check out the Rick and Morty episode of that Quado one. It's season 7, episode 7.
Oh, you looked it up?
I did. I rewatched it because I was like, I
You're
couldn't
like, I know
believe
I've
it.
seen this.
Oh, well, I died laughing as soon as the guy came out with his Quado, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's what that is!" And I was like, I had no idea that was from that movie, even though like I'm watching the Rick and Morty episode, and it literally says, "Oh, you mean from Total Recall?" Like they
Yeah.
do a shout
And
out.
you just never.
Just didn't register. I didn't log that information or connect it, and yeah,
I'm
it was a
definitely gonna go watch it
pleasant
now just to
surprise.
see what they
Yes.
do. Because Rick and Morty definitely does have those 80s rock, like fantasy vibes. So it
Yeah,
makes sense.
definitely.
Sci-fi, fantasy, definitely. That is
Yeah.
definitely the vibe.
Yeah. Are we doing a draw? We're not doing a drawing because next week is
Yeah,
our last
there's
episode.
no drawings to give you guys today. Next week is going to be our last episode of season 1. We are going to be talking about the show Changeling, The
Yes.
Changeling. It's on Apple TV. If you guys want to watch it, again, just get that little free trial and then get rid of it. Don't pay for it. Yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about, and that is going to be our very last episode for season
Yes.
1.
To reiterate, the TV show, there is a movie called The Changeling
Yes,
with Angelina Jolie. That is not what we're
that
reviewing.
is not what we're watching.
Yes.
I mean, go ahead and watch that. Let us know how it is. But
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
not
It's
what
good.
we're reviewing. We're gonna watch. Yeah, we're watching the show. That's what we're talking about next week, and we got no drawings to give you guys. We got
Yeah.
got
But
nothing.
still, go ahead and continue to let us know what you want us to watch and review
Yes,
and leave comments. Let us know how we're doing, how you're doing.
yes, please.
Yes.
Check out all the links below. Follow us. Talk to us. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see you next week then.
Bye.
Bye.